In the heart of Beijing, behind the thick red walls of Zhongnanai, lives one of the world's most powerful and enigmatic leaders, Xi Jinping. To some, he is a visionary guiding China toward global supremacy. To others, he is an authoritarian reshaping the very core of modern China. But who really is Xi Jinping? How did the son of a purged revolutionary become the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao Zedong? Let's rewind the clock to June 15, 1953. Xi Jinping was born in Beijing into the elite political family of Xi Jinping, a revolutionary hero and one of the founding fathers of the Communist Party. From the outside, his childhood seemed privileged, growing up in the political limelight. But behind closed doors, a storm was brewing. When Xi was just 9, his world collapsed. In 1962, his father was suddenly purged by Chairman Mao and labeled a traitor. Overnight, the Xi family went from prominence to disgrace. Red Guards ransacked their home, his schoolmates turned on him. At 15, Xi was sent to a remote village called Liangjia as part of Mao's Cultural Revolution. For most privileged teens, such exile would break them, but for Xi, it forged steel. He lived in a cave home, labored in the fields, and endured hunger and back-breaking work. The villagers initially mocked the pampered princeling, but he slowly earned their respect. They saw him not as a city boy, but as a hard worker who shared their suffering. This period would later become central to his carefully crafted image, the man who ate bitterness with the people. Xi applied to join the Communist Party several times. He was rejected repeatedly because of his father's tainted legacy, but he was relentless. He eventually gained acceptance in 1974 and soon returned to Beijing, enrolling at Tsinghua University, where he studied chemical engineering. While many of his peers pursued foreign education and business, Xi stayed rooted in politics. He climbed the political ladder quietly, almost invisibly. Unlike flashy or reform-minded leaders, Xi projected modesty, discipline, and loyalty to the party. He learned to survive and adapt in a system where one wrong step meant political death. His early political career took him through the provinces, Hebei, Fujian, Zhejiang, and finally Shanghai. In each post, he kept a low profile, delivered steady governance, and avoided corruption scandals. But behind this calm exterior was a man slowly positioning himself for the top. In 2007, Xi was unexpectedly promoted to the Politburo Standing Committee, China's most powerful governing body. His rise was rapid and surprising. Many had predicted others to succeed Hu Jintao. Yet, Xi emerged as the compromise candidate, someone acceptable to all factions, precisely because he seemed non-threatening. But they had miscalculated. In 2012, Xi Jinping was officially named General Secretary of the Communist Party. Soon after, he became President of China and Chairman of the Central Military Commission. Within months, it became clear Xi wasn't just another bureaucrat. He was here to change everything. First came the anti-corruption campaign. Xi launched what he called a war on tigers and flies, punishing both high-ranking officials and low-level bureaucrats. Over 100 top officials, including powerful generals and party elites, were arrested. Critics say it was also a tool to eliminate rivals. But to the public, Xi became a crusader cleaning up a rotten system. Next, Xi moved to consolidate power. He dismantled the tradition of collective leadership and elevated his own status above all others. In 2018, he shocked the world by abolishing presidential term limits, paving the way for him to rule indefinitely. China was changing fast. Under Xi's rule, the economy surged, but so did censorship, surveillance, and nationalism. He promoted the Chinese dream, a vision of national rejuvenation, prosperity, and global influence. He reasserted the party's dominance in every aspect of life, from education to entertainment. In foreign policy, Xi took a bold, assertive approach. Gone was Deng Xiaoping's quiet diplomacy. She launched the Belt and Road Initiative, a massive global infrastructure project aimed at expanding China's influence across Asia, Africa, and Europe. He clashed with the West on trade, technology, and ideology. The world was no longer dealing with a rising China, it was dealing with a China ready to lead. At home, she cultivated a cult of personality unseen since Mao. His speeches were published in Xi Jinping Thought, added to the Constitution. His image filled textbooks, newspapers, and posters. State media hailed him as the core of the party, the father of modern China. But his rule has also sparked fear. Under Xi, China has seen a sweeping crackdown on dissent. In Hong Kong, pro-democracy protests were crushed. In Xinjiang, over 1 million Uyghur Muslims were detained in what the government calls re-education camps. Online censorship became total. Journalists disappeared. Billionaires who criticized the party went silent, or missing. She also faced challenges. The trade war with the United States strained China's economy. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed weaknesses in governance and transparency. His zero-COVID policy drew domestic backlash and international criticism. Yet, through it all, she held firm. He doubled down on state control, rejected Western liberalism, and insisted that China's model was superior. In 2022, at the 20th Party Congress, she secured an unprecedented third term as party leader. He purged rivals, filled top posts with loyalists, and effectively ended decades of reform-era norms. He now stands alone, more powerful than any Chinese leader in modern history. But who is Xi Jinping really? To his supporters, he is a stabilizing force, a man who restored order, reasserted party control, and brought pride back to China. They see him as a defender of Chinese civilization, challenging a West that has long tried to contain their rise. To his critics, Xi is a dictator, a man who crushed dissent, silenced opposition, and pushed China into a new era of repression. They worry his ambition risks conflict, both domestically and globally. Yet even his critics admit, Xi is no puppet, he is a shrewd, calculating strategist. Every move, every campaign, every reform has a purpose: to secure the future of the Communist Party and place China at the center of global power. She once said, "The Chinese nation has stood up, grown rich, and is becoming strong." That is his mission, to complete China's century-long journey from humiliation to triumph. And so, Xi Jinping continues to rule, not just as a president, but as the architect of a new Chinese order. A man shaped by trauma, forged in hardship, and driven by a singular belief that the future belongs to China. Whether that future brings peace or peril, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the story of Xi Jinping is far from over.